This is something I was not planning to make a video about, because this concerns something I was wanting to stay out of effectively as a neutral party, but there's a point that pushes things too much. Recently, allegations had come out against content creator ChuggaaConroy. I will say that ChuggaaConroy had been doing fanboying of Beardy from Kid Icarus Uprising, especially with the scene spelling out about Beardy being a tsundere, which you can find early on in the last video of his Kid Icarus Uprising series. Suffice to say that the allegations sound believable, so rather simple just denouncing ChuggaaConroy, right? Yeah, if it was that simple, I'd go ahead and do that instead of making this video. There's one important problem involved. His accusers do not provide concrete evidence for a problem that has now blown up and instead scream manipulative sensationalists. As I outlined, there is still enough evidence of ChuggaaConroy involving less than healthy behavior regardless. But even in the case of the allegations themselves being true, why did the accusers say nothing for so long? You can't tell me they were simply up against a power base, because the cross assault incident was from about a decade or so ago. There was outrage and then about how old Mr. Chuggy McNeckbeard and his supporters were abusing their positions of power over an isolated woman to traumatize her, even though that was happening in a public event authorized by Capcom. I myself called out that mess nearly 10 years ago as well. There is no excuse for ChuggaaConroy's accusers to have done nothing about his behavior. Let me spell this out. ChuggaaConroy's accusers are, at best, blatant fast enablers with now cold feet. They have made the choice to keep encouraging him, or they would have said something a lot sooner. Want to dispute me that they didn't have a choice? Well, how about this? A book I got for my health class in early high school talked about how a role model can easily be imitated because the role model's actions inevitably claim something to be good. We're not actually being immaterial. I believe the topic was emphasized for when the book talked about a certain category of diseases. And by the way, I recall that book still gave HIV its own chapter. My point is that the accusers still made the choice to follow the leader, before and during the allegations. You can't tell me that breaking peer pressure is a novel notion. If you think you can, then let me recite what I said on another YouTuber's comment section when they talked about Mangs. And I quote myself, I'd come up with a manic pixie dream girl character who would be encouraging the better side of a chivalrous pervert. Original, I know. What I do want to bring up is the manic pixie dream girl potentially being a pure good / magnificent baddie hybrid, with the only real concern for the latter being her baddie nut. And even then, let's just say the involved story would already want to bring up some volunteer child soldiers on the hero side, potentially dying to stop an homicide plot. Again, original, I know. As a player punch. And as I can trust that you can put two and two together, I'll get to the point. I have evidence of having the Manic Pixie Dream Girl character idea dating back to August 30, 2014. And suffice to say, why Mike's girlfriend simply disgusts me, and would have disgusted me even before I had actively heard of Mangs. Long story short, the accusers end quote after saying actively heard of me. But long story short, the accusers could have just chewed out ChuggaaConroy's shaky behavior for how blatant it was. That is, if they didn't feel like being creative in the first place. They didn't. So what they're doing screams efforts to create confirmation bias for misandrous. And this is assuming that their stories prove to be true. The thing is, chatlock copy and paste can be doctored. And the video behaviors that do get displayed, why am I reminded of what women did with Mangs until July 2020, namely indulge in stalker fantasies with him and support the Mangs point system? Oh, and yes, that's the thing. There's actual evidence against Mangs, including Mangs film recorded actions and flagrantly illegal, malicious activities such as Undermines Saga and the Advanced Wars Reboot Camp leaker shenanigans. And there's evidence against Eris as well. Even if you could claim me to be holding a grudge against Mangs, I don't see Eris being affiliated with the Advanced Wars and Fire Emblem communities or anything like that. Yet the stupid comments about cameras in the ladies' bathroom infuriated me. Fulfill a competent evidence standard, ChuggaaConroy's accusers, or I will just pass this mess off as sensationalism on level with what Jamie I have female anatomy deal with it, Marchi pulled against Vic Mignogna. Of course, what, or rather who, really sets me off is one of the accusers, MasaeAnela. She has a Geno cosplay avatar right now because she was working on her Let's Play of Super Mario RPG Legend of the Physical Defense Ally buff. You might remember that I mentioned her in an earlier video of my run as a result of her showcasing the Chump fangirl's response should the player be apathetic to Mallow's fight with Croco. Something I mentioned about being a redeeming quality getting the Chump fangirl a thumbs up from me. Remember that point, by the way, because even if you can't already see why that's relevant, it will come up soon enough anyway. As for MasaeAnela's run, she probably stopped after defeating King Calamari. I think we get a clear idea of why. And here I was wanting to see how she would at least respond to my video about the Axum Rangers in Super Mario RPG Legend of the Physical Defense Ally buff. My question to MasaeAnela is this. Why? Why be an abrasive mess who was already starting to rub me the wrong way in certain later episodes of her Super Mario RPG Legend of the Physical Defense Ally buff Let's Play? Something you stopped working on before the allegations came out. I am tired of women thinking that aid is good. Whatever happened to having something like me say things along the lines of, alright, we'll save the dumb girls. And I say this as the guy who did the trope workshop entry for Savvy Guy Energetic Girl. I can cite for reference to anybody just as worried about me being too meta for my own good as I myself was in 2005 about not being immune to oblivious guilt flinging, even with my clear-cut awareness of the trope, given that I was actually hit by the trope in April 2015. Like Genki Girl, go figure. I really do not like when women like you, MasaeAnela, want to be exploitative pessimists. Now, of course, I'm not speaking in the least for people like Mangs, nor would I ever, because Mangs actually goes out of his way to be malicious. If the accusations are true, ChuggaaConroy would have more than enough to answer for, and I have seen enough that the accusations do line up with ChuggaaConroy's general behavior. But that's all they are, accusations. They may sound convincing enough, but so does any two-bit con artist. It's all meaningless without evidence, and so far all I'm seeing is random hostility built on the failure to take notes from the Chump fangirl in Super Mario RPG, who proved herself willing to subject Mario to what the Dark World hero moment. And believe me when I say this, I would want the Kid Chris Uprising community, which is ChuggaaConroy via significant influence because of its popular Let's Play, to not be saddled with degenerate elements like racist humor. We will not get that going with things like false accusations and especially condemnation for its own sake. The thing that bites the most is how this is yet another reminder that women will inevitably scream for my help at a point when their actions will have made me literally incapable of doing that. That's what hurts the most.